Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I'm Lauren LaSalle, and I'm a licensed therapist, highly sensitive person, and HSP coach. This bi-weekly podcast covers information and tips relevant to HSPs, as well as interviews with HSPs and their loved ones. My hope for this podcast is to create a feeling of community, be a supportive place for HSPs, and normalize our experiences as highly sensitive people. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's begin. Hey everybody, we've finally been having warm weather here and I am loving it. So today I'm doing a solo episode about how to stop taking things personally, but before I get into it, I have a few things to let you know about. So this summer I will be releasing one episode per month starting today in May. So this will be the only episode coming out this month. I have a few things that I'm working on for the future that I will need the extra time for, and I will let you know about these things when they're ready. But most importantly, this is my daughter's first summer being older than a newborn, and my family is going to be pretty busy, so I want to make sure that's what I'm prioritizing. Family is one of my top values, so it's important for me to focus on family. So the boundary that had to be set was going down to one episode a month for the summer. If you haven't checked it out already, I am on Patreon to help support the making of this podcast because it does take me quite a bit of time to prepare each episode, so any support would be appreciated. And by becoming a patron, you get access to ad-free episodes, you can vote in polls for episode topics, live Zoom chats with me and other patrons, and more, and I will put the link in the episode description. If you haven't already, please rate and review the podcast. That helps other people find it and know that it's worth listening to. And if you leave a 5-star review, I will read it on an episode. So I think that's everything that I wanted to share. So now to get into how to stop taking things personally. This is something that I think a lot of people do, although it seems like it's probably pretty common for HSPs to take things personally due to how we deeply process things. And I struggled with not taking things personally for a long time. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it now, but I've definitely improved. And I can usually catch myself if I start to fall into those negative thought patterns. You may be wondering how I do this. Well, I will tell you, and I will use an example to help illustrate what I'm saying. First, notice and observe your thoughts and feelings about the situation without judging them. So my example happened earlier this week. My daughter and I went to hang out at the park with some moms and babies that we met at story time, and we left earlier than everybody else to go home for lunch. So later that day, I saw that one of the moms had posted a picture of everybody at the park on Facebook, but my daughter and I weren't in the picture because we'd already left. So my initial thoughts were, why didn't she take the picture when we were there? I wish we'd been in the picture too. Maybe she didn't want us in the picture and that's why she took it after we left. I felt left out, sad, rejected. Once you've observed your thoughts, ask yourself, what proof do I have to back up that these thoughts are true? So I have nothing to back those thoughts up. She's the one who invited us, so clearly she wanted us to be there and didn't leave us out of the picture on purpose. It's important to remember that other people's responses and reactions usually have more to do with what's going on for them than it has to do with you. We all respond to things based on our own experiences and perspectives. So one thing you can try to do is try to think of another explanation for what they might mean or for their reaction or their action. Try to see things from their point of view. What other possible explanations might there be? So for my example, I think what probably happened was that she took the picture right before they left, which was after we left, so of course we weren't in the picture. It didn't have anything to do with us being there or not being there. Ask yourself why you feel this is directed toward you. Have you had similar negative experiences in the past, and that's why this is triggering something in you? Does it reflect how you think about yourself? I've had a lot of experiences growing up where I felt rejected and left out, mostly in high school, and that's likely why so much negativity came up for me in this situation. I do sometimes feel like, why would people even want to hang out with me? And I think that had some part to play as well. So I have 2 more tips that don't pertain to my example, but they are: if you're not sure what someone means, ask for clarification. This will help avoid miscommunication and misinterpretation. And spend time with people who are meaningful to you and participate in activities that you enjoy. This will leave less time for negative thinking, and it may even improve how you think about yourself. Do you find that you take things personally? If you try these tips, send me an email and let me know how it went, and let me know if it's okay for me to read your email in an episode. As always, if you have any ideas for episode topics, if you have any questions for me to answer on the podcast, or if you would like to write an email sharing your story for me to read on the podcast, you can email me at lauren@laurenlassallecoaching.com. You can find out more about my coaching program, as well as resources and links to my social media, by visiting my website at laurenlassallecoaching.com. And while you are there, make sure to go to my free resources page, where you can download my free workbook, Boundary Setting for Highly Sensitive People. Before I sign off, I will leave you with a quote. If we are honest with ourselves, we have to admit that sometimes our assumptions and preconceived notions are wrong, and therefore our interpretation of events is incorrect. This causes us to overreact, to take things personally, or to judge people unfairly. Elizabeth Thornton. Thank you so much for listening to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. You can help support the show by taking a minute to rate and review it, share a favorite episode with a friend, or go to patreon.com/highlysensitivepodcast.